So, what have we done in the meantime? We changed the subframe to the motor holder subframe. We received the racing polyester fairing parts and we started removing the cables up front for the ram air intake. Most of the cables are already removed here, which creates a huge opening where the ram air comes through. Normally there are a lot of cables running through here. The clutch cable and the cable for the throttle and hand controls, but of course all of that needs to come out. We also split the cabling, taking out the cables you simply don't need on a racetrack. We rerouted the clutch cable so it now comes from here and runs above the radiator, over the cylinder and comes out right about here. The standard cable is in the way of a lot of things, especially for the ram air intake. We're going to test which cables we can cut because these are the switches for the brake and the clutch. They work for the brake light but also for the cruise control. And of course, on track you don't use cruise control. So we'll go step by step and see which ones we can remove because they're just unnecessary weight and cabling we don't need. The subframe was an easy installation. We simply swapped out the subframe and the plastic bracket where the ABS pump and battery sit. Just lift it up, remove the bolts on both sides, lift out the old subframe and in with the new. It literally slides straight in. About 50 minutes of work, which was quick and perfect. The quality and the price of these subframes are immaculate and they save roughly 1.5 to 2 kilos on the bike. They're also less expensive than the standard, so if you crash, they're cheaper to replace than the subframe from Yamaha. So you save both money and weight. The next thing we did is the Jet Prime switches I told you about and the Jet Prime quick throttle. I haven't tried it yet, but that's on my list. As always, Jet Prime delivers. The quality and the looks are just perfect, way better than standard. It saves weight and it looks better because the old hand controls were way too big for my preference. These are just the controls you need to ride on track. With the quick throttle, this is open and this is closed. About 60 degrees less rotation, which is a lot, and you'll definitely notice it, especially coming out of corners on corner exits. This is a separate airbox we bought for the Yamaha R9. We've already mounted the newest version of the variable intake stacks on here, which we're going to test out in the future. First, we need to mount the ram air intake, and then, with the ram air intake on, we'll see the difference between the stock stacks and the variable intake stacks, both with the ram air. The reason we're mounting the ram air first is simple. We still need to get this bike race ready this year. At least before the end of the year and ideally before the season is over, so we can still get some track time with it. Otherwise, we'd be putting the bike back together with the stock airbox and the stock variable intake stacks without the ram air. And as you can see, the screen is already off. That would just take far too much time. So we'll still see a difference between the stock stacks and our stacks, but it'll be with the ram air intake. So my dad test fitted all the fairing parts and now we finally have a real idea of how this bike is going to look and what we're actually working towards. We're going to do this one in the old school Yamaha red and white style, that classic racing look. And honestly, even just mocked up like this, you can already see it's going to be something special. The fairings are from Motocarbon and fitting them was really easy. Everything lined up the way it should and the quality across all the parts is just really good. The finish is clean, the fit is tight and we couldn't be happier with how it's all coming together. Of course, the bike isn't done yet. We're still missing a couple of key things to finish it off. The GYTR parts and the ram air intake. Once those are in, that's when it really comes together and starts looking like the race bike we've got in our heads. But I've got to give credit where it's due. My dad did a really neat job on this. Not only is the work clean and precise, he also got it done incredibly fast. So a big thanks to him. This is exactly the direction we wanted to go in, and seeing it take shape like this gets me genuinely excited for the final result.